Bradley, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I have my counterpart, intellect, Mr. Jay Doran. Jay, how are you today?
Better now. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. And Jay, you had some things to get off your chest.
Here's a quote for this episode. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Is that Nietzsche?
Yeah, and I think that exemplifies your journey. What, 1999 till now?
Is that a Nietzsche quote or is it Nietzsche?
I've heard all sorts of different pronunciations.
Well, let's figure it out, because like everybody walking around trying to sound smart by dropping the Nietzsche or the Nietzsche word.
Tread lightly. They're very difficult books. I mean, I still haven't finished.
How do you pronounce Nietzsche? Let's see. Hey, how do you pronounce Nietzsche?
Here's what I found.
What did she find? It doesn't say. How do you pronounce Nietzsche?
I say Nietzsche or Nietzsche, depending on my mood for the
Nietzsche?
day. Yeah.
I wonder what
do you
it
think of the
actually
quote?
is. What's the quote again?
And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. You've been dancing.
Yeah, that means that you're watching somebody, right? And you don't hear the music that they might hear. So you see them dancing, you would assume that they're insane. But if you heard what they heard, if you saw what they saw, if you lived what they lived, well, then you might not think that they're crazy. You might be dancing with them. So at the end of the day, Nietzsche's just saying, basically, when you see people dancing, you would think them to be insane if you didn't hear the music, or if you don't hear the music. What's the exact quote?
And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. What better way to exemplify the entrepreneur, the visionary, the person that starts something? The real Bradley.
To do what? What better way to do what?
Exemplify the entrepreneur.
Why would an entrepreneur need to be exemplified?
Well,
are they the downtrodden and the weak?
It's almost like one of those things. You've got to do it to understand it. I mean, how many people have worked for someone that they lost respect for? Are you an entrepreneur,
Jay?
Yeah, I am.
Are you downtrodden?
Misunderstood. Alone. Resentful. Envious. Guilt-ridden. Shameful. Angry. Yes, I am an entrepreneur.
Is that what an entrepreneur is?
I mean, how does it not start with the chip on the shoulder? A little bit of something to prove, someone to prove wrong, something to say, something to do that hasn't been done or hasn't been done in the way that I want to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's painful.
The chip on the shoulder.
That chip is so heavy, I'm about to break.
The burning desire. Why are you about to break, though?
I don't know if I could carry it any longer.
Carry what? This burning desire to what? Succeed?
To be appreciated, to be seen.
Is that why you're doing it all?
Oh, that's a big piece of it, even if I wasn't aware of it. Damn right.
Oh, what are you trying to do? Be vulnerable?
And be satisfied. Well, be
Bomb
aware.
Squad, this guy's trying to be vulnerable with you.
Damn right. Life can only be understood backwards.
Are you trying to identify with what you assume would be lots of entrepreneurs the way they feel, or you actually feel this way?
I definitely feel this way as well. But I'd be curious
to
see
if I was
Were you
trying to connect with the entrepreneurs and on their journeys?
What makes you ask?
See, well, it's just because, again, the way it gets, dramatized, it's almost like turning everything into a soliloquy.
Yeah, well, it helps to... How can we lead others if we can't lead ourselves?
Well said. Who said that?
Me. I just thought of that.
Wonderful statement. Because the first lesson of leadership, my friend, is to lead yourself. Like, if you can't lead yourself, how do you expect others to follow?
But I do think you can teach others without leading yourself. And I want to say to you, every time I'm around you, I get better. And everyone I see that's around you gets better, whether they realize it's because of you or not. Whether they are capable of courageously giving you that testimony or not based on their own story, their own narrative. But I can damn well say proudly, I'm better because of you and our relationship. If people listen to episode 78 of us or episode 120,
shameless plug,
they're going to see a different Jay. And you're a big piece of that. You and my wife and of others that we had the opportunity to work with, but you're a big piece of that. And I watch and I look and I see and I think, it just needs to be said. But so the teacher can change the world. Now, the leader must
like Jordan Burnt Peterson.
What did you think? You saw him speak yesterday, right?
I saw Burnt.
What was the biggest takeaway?
The biggest takeaway was his middle name, Burnt. So when you see Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, it's actually, the B stands for burnt, like toast.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I wonder what's behind that. Must stand for something.
Burnt.
Who would name their child? I mean, I don't want to offend him. Oh, what a shame.
What do you, what do you mean? There's people out there named Burnt.
How's it spelled?
Bernt.
Oh, okay. You're saying it like burnt toast. Every time I hear that, I think of like the crucifixion.
Well, how
because
would you
he's
say
doing
it?
This Torah.
How would you say it? How do you say burnt?
Burnt? No, I think.
How do you say burnt toast?
Burnt toast.
So burnt and burnt is the same.
But maybe it's just the level of admiration I have for that individual based on how I've connected with their teachings and with who I think they are as a person.
Yeah.
Burnt. I don't know. It's.
You don't think his name should be Burnt?
I don't think I have the right to judge outside of being curious of why. And now you've answered it. Okay, it's spelled differently than I thought.
Okay, now listen.
But what was your take?
Even though this is a lax episode of Dropping Bombs, here on the show, Jay, as you know,
sure,
we like to have open conversation, open dialogue, and get to the bottom of things.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or get to the business end of things. Do you have any issues in business that you're facing?
Yeah, I would say the biggest one would be I've spent a lot of time reading.
Too much.
To think.
Perhaps.
Too
much?
Yeah, I think I could go insane if I don't start doing something with it, for sure.
I think you're a little late.
Reading to so writing to develop.
Where like he would like be out at a normal dinner and he'd say, "Hey, I got to go home, get in the bath, read my book." Like what? You would look forward to going home and get crawling in the tub.
Yeah. I haven't taken any baths in a long time though. Something's changed. Different habits, but so
maybe your balls dropped.
No, they're actually inverted because all the juice that I abused for about 10 years, that'll really do it easy on you. Stay away from wherever the camera. Stay away from that shit.
Dang.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie on here. It'd be easy to omit, right? I don't want to be opaque anymore. I'd like to be vulnerable. I'd like to be real. I mean, isn't that part of that? Maybe because. That's part of the brand. I've taught you
to be real.
I would say so. I think I always molt when I'm in your proximity, and so to answer your question, it would be reading.
Hey, give somebody time to look up the word molt.
I didn't know the word at one time. Actually, Jimmy DeLay, a fan of 30 Days of Thought, actually told me he was molting when he went through 30 Days of Thought, the book that we authored in 2019, and it means to shed or to cast away, and that is the purpose of that process: to read, to think, to write, to develop, and then to post the videos. That's a whole nother thing I'd like to talk about. Post the videos, right? To speak, to let go. But if you pay attention to that book, nowhere does it say anything about listening. Because I wasn't. I actually had to go and write those thoughts and go through that process to and interact with individuals like yourself and learn that I never listened to anybody, especially those that I really wanted them to take me seriously or them to appreciate what I had to say. But it's all backwards because the only way to actually get that is to be humble and listen. And so what I want to work on continually is, of course, reading to think and developing, writing to develop, listening, and speaking. See, I used to speak because I didn't feel heard. I wasn't aware of it at the time. Now I have something to say.
What do you have to say?
Culture matters.
Culture matters.
It matters.
It matters.
I don't have it figured out, but it matters.
Listen, I would tell you when it comes to culture,
yeah.
culture definitely matters.
Why?
What do you mean? Well, culture, what is it? It's simply a set of behaviors, accepted behaviors, isn't it? What's culture to you?
I think it's us, people, relationships.
Well, it is, but it's an accepted behavior in a group of people. That's a culture. Like, you have to have a culture at your organization. People fail to create culture, and they think, oh, I don't have any culture at my building. Well, no, you have a culture no matter what, right? A culture is in existence.
Yes.
It's the condition that the culture's in that matters.
Yes,
it's not the culture that matters, because a bad culture doesn't matter. So culture matters, but no, good cultures matter.
This is why I like you, because you have an underlying compassion for people that you'd even think what you just said and then say what you just said, and with conviction. There's a moral undercurrent. Like, you have an ethic. You're a good person to even think that thought. And so you're right. Culture, if we look at it as behaviors, what's accepted or tolerated, well, then we could look at these like environments where people are oppressed, where they feel oppressed, where their rights are taken, their liberties are taken. Nobody wants to work for
which is all over the world.
All over the world, and companies. It happens naturally. Nobody wants to work for a tyrant. And I would argue no tyrant, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, right? What does that actually mean? I think the majority of tyrants, or those that act tyrannical, are not trying to be. They're reacting to things that are out of their awareness. They're
Say
just
that one more time.
They're not trying to be a tyrant. They're reacting. They're reacting to things that are out of their awareness. I was getting.
You didn't have the same emotion.
No, I'm not sure why I was shaking. Probably I'm trying to shake all the sin off my body,
dude.
From being a tyrant.
Dude, I think. Are you a tyrant?
Oh, I can easily be a tyrant. Absolutely, it depends who I'm talking to, and what the context is. Kant said, "If the truth."
Immanuel, folks.
Immanuel Kant.
Look him up.
You have the books in your office.
One of the greatest philosophers in the history of the world.
If the truth shall kill them, let them die.
If the truth shall kill them, let them die. And yes, I agree with this.
The more honest you are with me, and you've been very honest with me over the years.
It's the only way I know how.
If it really cuts deep, and people will know that, they'll feel this, I may not be able to I may lose myself in the moment. I'm going to be all of a sudden in anger or in rage, or, I'm going to react before I could even catch myself. You're going
to allow emotions to consume you.
It will overcome me, and I'm hoping to God.
Why do you think that's the case? Do you have no self-control?
Well, I think it's relative to how I think being able to forgive my enemies and love my enemies.
Yeah, but do you have any self-control?
Well, I think it's on a spectrum. It depends, Yeah, I think it has a relationship with.
See, there where we disagree.
What do you think?
I don't believe it depends.
Well, we'd have to ask.
You either have self-control or you don't. Now, again, you can have some degree of self-control, meaning I can stop myself from jumping off a cliff, but I can't stop myself from cutting my skin. There's got to be some degree. But I'm talking about. You either have self-control or you don't. So if you have self-control and you say, yes, I have self-control, which means you believe that you have the choice to make decisions and you have the strength as a human being, like not a human doing, you're a being, you're a whole being. The body is just the mechanism in which your being gets to operate. But at the end of the day, you're a being. You understand that?
I think to answer the question of the spectrum of our ability to control or to respond to conflict would be revealed in the customer reviews, our reputation. Other people will have the answer to us.
I know, but listen to what you just said.
They'll be able to answer it.
Will be revealed.
Yeah.
Dude.
Because it's on a spectrum.
I know, but you brought us back over to language people don't understand. Whatever you just said, hit rewind and maybe you'll figure it out. Let me ask you, and then we'll go back to what you said.
Sure.
About the revealed. go back to, do you or do you not think that you have the ability to control yourself?
I think it's paradoxical. I don't think so.
So you would be one that would say, I don't have self-control.
There are limits to the...
Yes, there are, dude, but
Yes.
just answer the question. Do you have self-control?
I don't think a binary answer is the solution, or even the beginning of the, like, I wouldn't want to answer. If I say no, it's limited. If I say yes, it's limited. I don't like the binary choice.
What do you
Now,
want?
if that proves your theory,
So
that
you want to say, well, depends.
Yes.
Depends on the situation. Well, of course it does. We've already
have you
agreed to
gotten
that.
angry? Yes.
We've agreed that there's some extenuating circumstances that might factor into the equation, but overall, in general, can you agree that you have self-control?
I believe that there are.
You can't even answer a simple question.
Well, I won't just do it because you've asked. I mean, yeah.
Why?
Well, because I don't.
Because your mind's
like going into the. Yeah, I don't like the binary.
Your mind's too fast at work trying to figure out where's the catch.
Well,
so I don't want him to catch me. So if I say yes, then he'll box me in, and then I'll look foolish.
Well, it's not that. It becomes more of a. This is what makes you such a great debater. I mean,
I'm a master debater.
Master debater. Yeah,
but
you
dude,
really
listen,
are. Truly,
you're spinning it back your way again. Let's stick to the real question at hand, because people need to know this.
Okay,
dude.
let me answer this.
Hold on.
Okay.
People need to know this. We control everything that's happening to us, essentially, because every action has a reaction. Do you disagree with that, Mr. Fucking Science? Oh, well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, if it would be revealed in the way we treat each other. Like, what? Dude, do you or do you not believe what the hell I just said? Can you even repeat what I said?
I don't believe it.
Can you even repeat it? Or are you thinking so much about what to say and to come back to what I said that you're not even hearing what I'm saying?
Go on.
What did I say?
I don't recall. I was thinking. I'm going off in a world.
This is the problem with people, folks. You're sitting there trying to think about how to respond to somebody, and you're not actually listening to the people, and that's why there's conflict. And then you want to argue that conflict's good. See, yeah. I was ahead of you. Yeah. I already knew that. Conflict's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, we can't get to the truth without it.
Yes, we cannot get to the truth and become our true selves without conflict.
And if I were to just answer a yes or no question, I'm falling into dogma, because it's the underlying. It's just because
these words are flying now.
You have your own underlying thesis that's how you're navigating reality.
Right. Well, again, it's not navigating reality. It's just asking you a simple question that you tend not to want to answer.
I would say that, put it this way, I have the ability to respond, but it's on a spectrum depending upon what happens to me.
Okay, do you believe for every action there's a reaction?
Like what actually happens.
Do you believe that for every action there's a reaction?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Take a moment.
That's a deep question.
Very.
Like, yeah, David Hume talked about that. And I haven't read him enough to understand what he even said. But essentially, behind every effect is a cause, but there's an effect behind
that's every action. Cause. There's a reaction, a cause and effect.
Yeah, but there's limitations to it.
So that's not true. Every action doesn't have a reaction.
What do you think?
I believe every action has a reaction.
Put it this way. I think that the idea of the control is a form of psychological self-deception that helps the victim become a bully.
What victim are you talking about?
Someone that feels disenfranchised.
Helps the victim become a bully. I asked you a simple question. Do you believe every action has a reaction? Now you're talking about symptoms and how people turn into bullies.
It's more of like an ideology, right? It's a self-diagnosing ideology.
You got to pay attention to the question at hand.
Okay. But I'm not going to answer questions that have an underlying...
If you feel trapped or uncomfortable,
yeah, it's like playing chess.
If you feel, right? I was going to say, if you feel outplayed, just be silent.
Sure.
You don't have to answer. All I'm just asking is, do you believe that every action has a reaction?
Let's go with that.
Okay, so if every action has a reaction, and it does.
Okay.
You know how you know? Because ultimately, dude, everything's molecules and everything's vibrating, including us, including this desk, including the treadmill somebody's walking on while they're listening to this, including this phone. You think it's solid? It's not solid. We call it solid, but it's still molecules, and they're still vibrating, and it's still just frequency. Okay, we're all frequency. So if we're all frequency, the molecules, the air molecules, is frequency. Everything is frequency, which means we are all connected, literally. There is no space between us. It is all connected. It is all connected. There is no space between me and this bottle. Why? Because literally, if you get down to the moleculars, boom. People go, what's the moleculars? Way down to the frickin' molecular level, atomic, subatomic. We're all particles and we're all vibrating. And what's crazy is when you start to realize that there's patterns in those vibrations. And you start to realize that, hey, wait a minute, the Fibonacci sequence, those are real. Like all these numerology things, you start to go, wait a minute, that all applies. And now all of a sudden you're starting to say, okay, well, wait a minute. If that's true, well, then there is no space between us. And if there's no space between us, that means that we're all connected. And if we're all connected, you can't move and not move something else. So you have to be causing some sort of reaction, even when you breathe. Like when I breathe out, there's a reaction to my breath in the molecular level and above that level, like in the real level. Let's call it the tangible level. So when I breathe on that pen, nothing happens. Why? Wait, all this other stuff. But in reality, does something change? Yeah. The air between me and this pen changed, which means when I took a breath or exhaled, the world is different. The existence is different. Okay, so every action has a reaction. And if you were to try to convince me that every action doesn't always have a reaction, well, I'd be open to listening, but I've thought, and I can't think of any possible scenarios where an action wouldn't cause some sort of reaction. So if we know that, then we ask ourselves, are we in control of ourselves? Like, who controls you? If I asked you, who controls you, Jay, what's your answer?
So that's where I diverge.
Because you can't say who controls you?
Well, we'd have to, like, who am I, right? Who are you? We're a byproduct of
that
well,
body,
that's where
that
we would
body,
go
and that
first.
being. Do you control this body and this being and what they do and what they say?
Put it this
Or does
way.
somebody control you?
We are, as individuals.
See, he won't answer the question, folks.
Well, because
so I defer the question to the people listening.
That
Why?
type of pattern,
Because we don't
that
need
type
to
of
hear the
linguistic
babble.
communication, though, is a controlling form to communicate that actually undermines
It's not controlling. It's a
the
simple
counterpart.
question.
No, because all these questions have an inferred outcome.
No, it doesn't. It's a simple question.
And I would argue that the fruit of that controlling theory would be this type of communication pattern, which would lead to unthinking, would just lead to ideology, the adaptation.
No, it wouldn't. I'm
of
leading
whatever
you
my
down a
counterpart
path,
thinks
and I'm
believes.
closing the
I'd
doors
have to-
behind me.
I'd have to fall into it, but I won't do that. So this is what I would say.
See, you are feeling unsafe in this conversation because
not
you're
from you specific-
you're
not from
treading
you.
on unknown territory.
It's not Brad that
You
I'm-
fear that you're with a higher intellect and you might stumble and fall and look foolish.
Well,
and
first
I'm
of
here
all,
to
I'll
say,
give you-
Jay, calm down, friend. That's not going to happen. People are already going to judge you just by listening to you and watching your face gestures.
Bring that would be wonderful. See, that's the opportunity because that
so
actually.
it's already over. They've already judged you. Now the question
that's
is,
good.
I know, but now the question is there redemption in the cards?
Well, that depends on how I would relate to the relation.
Exactly.
And if I were to convince myself that I was in control, I could very well easily never hear those that challenged whatever theory I had about myself or the world.
Okay, so let's just
Because
ask a
I
question.
control reality. It becomes almost like a regressive psychology. Like
You don't
that's
control
kinda where
reality
I'm-
because reality includes other people, and you don't control
it's
them.
an ideology, you know. So to
Yeah, but
answer
you
your
don't,
original
you don't
question,
control
though,
reality. You control you.
you were talking about me for a second. I would
Yeah.
argue that the individual is rooted
See,
in the past and the future.
Ben, control room. Are you listening?
So, but to
See, you
answer,
can't
your-
answer a simple question.
well, I am answering it.
No, you're
I'm just
not.
not going to answer it
You're
the way
trying to
you'd like
confuse
me to
people.
answer. And there's a big distinction there. And that doesn't make you wrong or anything other than
You're trying
yourself.
to both prove intelligence and
no, I just
divert the question.
absolutely not.
You just said I diverge.
What I'm saying is that
So you don't even know what you're saying. You don't even know why you're arguing. You just want to argue.
I definitely don't want to just argue, but I will not answer questions.
Okay, can you answer this question then?
Yeah.
Why can't you answer a direct, simple question?
I don't want to be controlled.
See, now why is asking a question controlling you? It's simply asking a question. So when I say, do you believe in every action there's a reaction? You go, I better not answer that. He's going to trap me in some
we'll
sort
put it
of
this way.
And then he might get me to agree to something I don't agree to, and that would be against my ethics, and I better not do that. And so literally nobody's hearing you think, but that's kind of what you're walking through.
A person
Hey,
would
by the way, we
less,
both can't talk and be heard. Just FYI.
Sure, but ultimately, a person, put it this way, this type of interaction could easily steamroll a person that either lacked self-esteem or
Do
was.
you?
No,
Okay,
I'm
then
very.
we're safe. We're on a
Well, I
safe
mean, it's also on a
ground.
spectrum.
I know
It
we're on
depends
safe
on the-
ground, brother. Still, the question remains.
Sure.
I am very curious because I know there's people in the
This
world.
is an important topic for the
I
audience.
know
ultimately.
very important because
Yeah.
there's people listening to this that are going, dude, that's me. And people are thinking, this took a while to get going, but this is getting good. And the reason why it's getting good is because this shit's not talked about. This shit's the real shit. Okay. And at the end of the day, when someone doesn't pontificate or take time to think, they're at a disadvantage. And what?
I don't like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why?
Absent our thought, where's the control that you speak of? This
What do you mean
ability to
absent our
respond?
thought? Where's the control? Thought creates control?
Well, you might be confusing control with responsibility, but I would argue
You might be
the
confusing. I'm not confusing anything with anything.
The idea of control would be an ideology as a consequence to feeling as though deeply, I would argue, under like in one's almost like in their physiology that
Deep in their bones
they've
for
been
you and I.
convinced it's their fault to such a degree that they're unable to be responsible to outside forces. They have to regress into, this. It's like a solipsism.
A solipsism.
Yeah.
You're going to have to define that one, Jay.
Yeah, I have to look up the
A
definition.
solipsism. Well, here, all you do is like this. Watch. Hey, Siri, define solipsism.
It's like an infinite regress. Like it doesn't really get us anywhere. It's nowhere.
The quality of being very self-centered.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Solipsistic thinking. Because this thing, we have a relationship, right? I relate to you, you relate to me.
Solipsism.
And we have to be able to, it's like we're exploring ideas together. This isn't about Brad and this isn't about Jay. It's about the ideas that we represent. Jung. People don't have ideas. Ideas have people.
Another simple
So
question.
we represent ideas here.
Another
we have to be
simple
able to
question, though.
Go ahead. Yeah.
How many people do you think understood the word solipsism?
I didn't even. I just
So
it was
why
in my
use
head.
it? Are you trying to communicate
No,
with people,
I
or are you
can't
trying
really-
to demonstrate
Ever
your
since I was a small
intelligence?
child, I would use a word, and
Solipsism.
every time
People are
it
going
would
to be people are going to be beating me up because I'm interrupting you. Number
No,
one.
that's
Number
okay,
two,
but I can handle it.
And man, what are you so
I
worried
can handle
about,
it.
Brad? That he has a plethora of words to use, and you're just limited to your normal arrogant diatribe.
No, none of that's
Stop
true.
interrupting him.
This is one of the reasons why I always grow with you, though, and I could tell this to the audience.
Oh, here we grow again.
Oh my God, I love growing with you
Here
because
we grow.
this interaction, right? Our interactions that we have challenges me, and then we.
I should send you an invoice for it then.
It's a wonderful. Hopefully, if anything, this conversation could be an expression of what is possible when you have respect.
I wonder
for
how many
the
listeners
other
I'm
party.
going to gain or lose because of this episode.
What makes you?
Because some people
think
are
about
like,
that?
they don't think at this level, bro.
Are you sure? I give people
100%.
more credit.
100%.
And like I didn't start at first of all, I don't consider myself at any level. I'm constantly learning new things. I'm constantly unlearning.
Well, that's because you're not, succumb to solipsism.
What do you think about responsibility?
I refuse to go down that.
All right, that's
path.
fair. Hey, you get Ben's laughing. I could hear him laughing. Hey, yeah.
That's because I'm fighting fire with fire.
And you have every right to do so.
Okay. Well,
And,
again, I don't necessarily hide behind
open question.
I don't
to ask.
hide behind reverse psychology. Okay. Here's what I do. I tell the truth, and if someone doesn't like it and they're somewhat offended by it, well, then I don't want that. I want someone to be enlightened and or maybe see things from a different perspective. Now, if somebody's so hard in their ways that they don't molt in any way after talking to me, well, then they were hard and fast against it, meaning they came in with the idea not to freaking let me persuade them because I'm so damn persuasive and charming and charismatic that this isn't going to happen to me.
Well, you just got to be very careful. The question, it's like...
The question is a simple question. Do you believe that you control you, or does someone else control you? It's either you control you,
but the
or someone else controls you, or a group of people control you.
This is the assumption.
Who controls you? That's all I want to know. And you can't answer it. Because you want to now go, well, define you. Could that be a bundle of fibrous nerves underneath a cerebellum of, constant
This is the thing.
medulla oblongata juice?
Potentially, if I were to share what I did actually think at
ad hominem
length, at length, it might actually destroy all of the assumptions that you and others use to navigate their reality.
Are you just going to use this ad hominem?
I don't plan on attacking your you as a person.
Is that ad hominem?
Ad hominem is when we start going at each other.
Oh, well, don't come at me with
not
some ad hominem.
But more of like you.
Brother, I don't want any ad hominem out of you.
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, let's get back to where people are, because people are like going to finally tell you, someone's going to tell my guests, let Brad talk. Because what I'm saying is what frickin' is understandable.
Yeah, what do you mean by
what you're
control?
saying is the confusing part.
I'd like to be more humble in this interaction. What do you mean by control?
Do you control you?
Oh, no, I mean, what do you mean by control? I want to understand it before I answer.
For example, watch.
Before I answer, I'd like to understand exactly what you're asking.
If someone says, hey, Brad, get up and shut the door, and I don't want to, who controls me?
That depends on the power dynamic.
If the phone rings,
if I work for you,
if the phone rings and I don't want to answer it, can someone make me answer it? Is there literally someone on the planet that can force me? If I really don't want to and I'm not going to, I choose if I answer that phone. You can't get me to think your way. You can't get me to do something. Now, I'm not talking physically. There's big, powerful freaking, circumstances where, 9 people freaking locked you up and you didn't want to. I'm not talking about against your will.
If I work for
I'm
you
talking
as an
about
employee,
who controls you, meaning who operates you, who decides for you, who makes your decisions, who decides for you. And you're going to say, well, that depends. You can say that depends to everything.
If you
But guess what? The bottom line is no, nobody controls you, Jay. And if someone does, you're a biatch. Okay.
Look at this interaction, right? You're controlling this entire interaction. And the only way to stop that would be to get up.
It's not controlling.
And punch you. You're literally on the ground.
That would go viral.
No, think about that. If we regress to such a level where you're controlling this conversation to such, you have the power. It's your show. It's your thing. It's your brand. It's your listeners. It's your army versus who do I have?
See, I think that's just
what
how
I'm
you
saying.
feel.
Implicit in all that. No, but this is how it works.
This is good information, guys.
Yes, this is the meat and potatoes.
You want a little insight to Jay Doran? Here it is. Right here.
Yeah. So we're testing your thesis right here. It's like
you're on my turf.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so you're in control of. You have the degree of power, that influence and authority that you could exert in this context.
Do you feel attacked?
No. I can work through that. I can
only because you're a mature, elevated.
Well, but it's
being.
on a spectrum. That's where I'm going with this. It depends how dark this gets.
How dark does it get?
It could get as dark as it. I mean, especially if our guard is down and there's love and because unconditional love means that we're loving despite the conditions.
Now you're turning it gay.
No, it doesn't have to be gay. Or was that nothing against anybody that pursues that path? But
2 men in mad love is somewhat gay.
respect, trust,
By definition.
admiration, love, like Aristotle's love, like, God, what is that word? Agape,
I know what
agape.
you're getting at. You're
Okay.
talking about just,
I don't mean-
love for humanity. I got you.
I'm
Love
not
for a
thinking
brother, a brotherly love. I got you.
desires.
I
Yeah,
got
the
you.
intimacy of-
Proceed. Is that controlling?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but it's also
No, that's leading.
what makes you great.
That might even be ushering. It's
know?
not controlling, because guess what? I didn't touch you.
Oh, oh, this is a lot of fun.
Dude, if someone doesn't put their hands on you,
Yeah.
you are not being controlled. You might be
There
influenced.
are laws.
Dude, you might
There's
be
abuse laws that
See
disprove
what
that
I mean?
thesis.
See what I mean? Like, see.
You can mentally emotionally abuse someone all day.
I didn't say you couldn't.
Yeah. But
Who
that
didn't
comes
say
down-
you can't mentally and emotionally abuse somebody?
Controlling
See, you
thoughts.
keep equating control to abuse.
Control is quite literally the negation of someone's individual sovereignty.
So if you control your own thoughts and emotions and choices and decisions, you're abusing
That's
yourself?
where it becomes a solipsism. Because
Self-centered?
the world, things are happening through us. They're happening like the environment, right? We don't know what's going to happen next. And we have the ability to respond to it relative to our awareness, our character, and the culture that shapes us. So it's a complex conversation.
Exactly.
To just break it, to put it into these binary
Simple
questions.
terms.
Not simple. It's just
simple.
You're such
simple.
a
You
great
control
sales
yourself.
Rhetoric. It's like rhetoric.
No, you control
I'm not going to be
yourself.
sold. I want to
Most people
explore the
control
idea.
themselves. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Most grown men and adult women would say, yeah, I control myself. Now, some people with a little bit of humor would say, well, my wife controls me or vice versa. But at the end of the day, we all agree we control ourselves. And if we control ourselves, that means we control our actions. And if we control our actions, meaning you can't make me go punch somebody, you can't make me go rob a bank, you can't make me start a business, stop a business, give up, you can't make me lose weight, you can't make me do anything. Why? Because you don't control me, only I control me. And you control you, and they control them. Like, only you control you.
It's
Whoever's
an
listening,
entitled thought.
whoever's
Very
listening,
entitled.
listen, I'm brainwashing
You're
you.
able to control as much as your freedom permits, and that's the environment outside of you.
Well, I'm brainwashing
We don't
people.
live in a vacuum. We live with other people.
Allow me to brainwash for a moment.
Sure.
You control you. And if you understand that and agree with that and realize that, hey, if I'm controlling me, that means I control my actions. And then the answer should be yes. You should arrive at yes, unless you're batshit crazy or you're too deep of a thinker. Like you're a, philosopher, just, out there trying to quote Kant and freaking Aristotle and freaking Thoreau. And like, dude, listen, I ain't talking about deep
Leaders
thinkers.
think, followers follow leaders.
I'm talking about reality is we control our actions, brother. You control yours. Your wife controls hers. You go home. She's banging the neighbor, and she says, "I couldn't help it." You would say, "Dude, you decided to do that. You control you. I control me. I can't control my wife. My wife can't control me." It doesn't mean that we won't, compromise and live within mutual agreements and barrier or boundaries. But at the end of the day, I control me. The fact that I don't cheat is because I don't cheat. The fact that I don't freaking, go out and partying with fellas and freaking leave her home alone with the kids all the time is because I choose not to. It's not because she makes me. It's not because I have to. It's because I choose to. So if everybody understands that technically I choose to do the right thing, I also choose to do the wrong thing.
May I interject?
And so guess what? That means I'm responsible. And that's where I'm driving. People
But
are
control and
responsible.
responsibility are antagonists. They don't work together.
What do you mean?
Because control, the ability to respond
attaching
is the
the word
inclusion.
control to a bad thing.
Well, the consequences are dire.
What are?
Because let's use like a
What
relationship.
consequences of having control? Who controls your car when you're operating it?
They're dire because we don't live on an island alone. Other people exist within our sphere. Like
I'm
this
going to give you a
conversation.
test to see if I want to continue this conversation. Because it's a simple question. If you don't want to answer simple questions, dude, I'm a simple guy. I don't want to talk fucking.
I don't think you're simple.
Too high level.
This is
people ain't going to fucking
dangerous
follow.
philosophy.
No, people ain't going to follow, dude. And there's no point in it. Like, do you control?
Like somebody that's
do
been
you control your
victimized?
car when you drive it?
Someone that's been victimized will need to feel that ideology maybe to move net forward, to be able to repress something that's happened to them. So that can be very attractive.
They can't do it with just logic.
This is the issue. Once they get control again, like meaning the ability to have authority over others, the inherent influence that comes with the perception of value, that type of psychology undermines future. Essentially, it projects control onto others, where once that controller was once the controlled. And that dichotomy is cult-like. It's not good for a culture. That's where I'm like, John, I don't want to be controlled in the conversation.
Call me crazy, but again, you just lost me.
Well, just watch the thing back. That's okay. I'm not attempting to choose. I'm just speaking freely.
I know, but I'll have to watch the thing back.
Yeah. Well, and then
it's like I'm asking you direct questions, and then next thing you know, you're talking about very high-level ethereal type things that I don't necessarily agree or disagree with. Well, I'm not going to answer yes or no questions that lead in a path of it's not a conversation. It's more of a reaffirmation of what I know, but the inquirer has already come to that conclusion. So if I choose not to answer the question, that would be control.
I disagree.
You're not in control?
This is my answer.
I'm telling you to answer the question. You're saying no, so I'm not in control.
You're in control.
And it's not a bad thing.
This is why.
You
this
think
is
it's
my
a bad
answer.
thing? That's what's freaking interesting about all this.
Well, it's because that type of ideology has consequences.
But why is it an ideology, bro? Control. Like, who has control over the car while you're driving it? You do. Now, again, yes, you could contemplate that technically Elon Musk does because it was a Tesla and he has override ability and yada, yada, yada. I get all the normal, there's always an exception to the rule argument.
Sure.
But in this case, there's no real exception to the rule.
My ability to respond,
general,
this is kind of where I'm going. I believe that my ability to respond to the world has a relationship with my past, my future, which has a relationship of what I do, what I choose not to do, and what I actually do moment to moment. And so there are things that will occur that and this is where relationships, this is where goodwill comes in, having people to be able to like forgive us if we say things we don't mean, or if we do things we don't mean. Because that's going to happen on a spectrum based on the things that we go through in life. Yeah. Like, have I been angry in the last 6 months? Yeah.
Of course you have.
I lost
last control. 6 minutes.
Wait, I lost control.
Well, I thought that's a good thing.
Well, so where I'm going with that is this idea of control is more of an idea. And if it progresses too much,
throw the word construct in there, please.
Like a religion, that wouldn't be good. So
you got to throw some sort of construct. Use the word construct if you're gonna
but that's how I would answer, and I think hopefully this helped, because the people that are watching this, they might fall into all sorts of
exceptions,
half truths that help them lift themselves a little bit higher. Just be careful how high you are, though, because you might look at the world differently in a way that has a negative impact on the people that are around you, especially, if you want to be a leader and you want to lead people. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm going to, yeah. Well, yeah.
See, if people,
be careful.
If people are watching the video, you got to get on YouTube to see where he's looking as he's talking. He's looking down to the right where it's basically just the desk. So he's not talking to me and he ain't talking to you. Who do you think he's really talking to?
I was thinking.
Like, who are you talking to when you look down and away?
I'm thinking.
Hold on, my wife is calling.
Yeah, let's bring Melissa into this.
Hello? Hello?
Okay.
I've been.
Hello, what are you doing?
Just finishing a podcast. Now you're on it.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Oh, it's just me arguing with Jay right now.
Hey, Melissa.
Oh, hello, Jay.
Babe, Jay, let me ask you a simple question, and I want you to give me a simple answer. I don't want you to give the answer you think I want you to say. I want you to give me the simple answer, truth, okay?
Okay.
Who controls you?
Me.
Exactly. Who controls Jay?
Jay.
I thought you'd say Jenna, but no, that's funny. No, Jay does.
That
Exactly. See what I mean? Like normal people understand that we control ourselves.
And I'll add
then
to this.
He acts
My
like
wife
it's a bad
definitely
thing. He acts like
has an influence
the
over me.
paradox that you're putting yourself in would actually collapse the cultural vibe, that listen. And then
No, you control yourself.
yeah,
Period.
and then he won't answer questions, and then he acts like control is agony. I don't know where he's getting this from, but
Like a separation, yeah.
yeah, see, he thinks
Well,
control
you
is
just
bad.
proved my point when you said my wife controls me, because you're damn right. She influences.
No, dude, you decide to do what your wife tells you to do. And by the way, there's a lot of men. There's a lot of men that do that, and that's okay. You choose to do it, which is my point.
Put it this way.
Like my wife said, "Hey, babe, I'm sick. Come home. I need help with the kids." And I said, "Okay, I'll see you when I get home." And everyone says, "See, she controlled you." No, she didn't. She convinced me that I now want to be there instead of here. So guess what? Who controlled who? I controlled myself. Just like if I said, "Hey, babe, do something. I buy your fucking nails. I pay for your car, wah, wah, wah," and you flaunt money in front of her, and you tell her all the shit you do for her, like she ain't your partner, like she's just costing you. Well, that would make you're a dick a little bit, right? Almost narcissistic. Now, babe, do I do that to you?
No.
No. So I am not in any way that way. But I also say, if I go home, it's because I want to. It's not because she tells me to.
Put it this.
Anyway, babe, I'm going to finish this.
Thanks, Melissa. You've been great.
Okay.
Hey, what's for dinner?
Oh, well, that's what I was just calling to see if you'd like to meet me at Green Valley for dinner.
You? Just you?
And Chloe.
Where's the girls?
They're playing in the arcade with their uncle.
Oh, of course. Where are we going to eat?
Wherever you'd like to eat there.
I would eat at Hank's.
Okay.
All right, let me know when it is. No earlier than 7:30.
All right. Love you.
Love you, Sue. Now, Jay, we've got a timeline on this thing.
Well, let's just. This is
No,
important to
let's
say.
proceed because there's people right now. Listen, there's
For
people
my
right
own
now on Team
self-respect,
J.
I have to say this.
I know, but right now there's people on Team J and there's people on Team BL. Now, listen, for all the people on my team, you guys are what's called, thinkers. You guys are like, use your brain type of people. We're what's called a growth mindset. We don't believe that it's not up to us. There's other people that believe it's somebody else's fault. It's some other situation. It's not their choice. It's not in their control. And so if anybody's listening to this, I would argue that you wake up and realize everything's in your control because you control you and everything that you do and think and decide, you controlled it, you decided it, you chose it, whether it's an addiction, whether it's freaking, cheating on your wife, whether it's freaking going back to your ex. I don't care what the freaking answer is. The bottom line is you decided at the end of the day because nobody can control you except you. Now, again, I'm not talking physically.
That's not true.
I'm not talking physically. I'm talking mentally. No, I'm leading the conversation, bitch. And I'm also dominating the conversation. But I wouldn't say I'm controlling
the cursing, the shushing, all of that
it's not shushing.
It's disrespectful.
No, so is interrupting, motherfucker. I'm talking. And you hear me talking?
What I'm saying
or you think your fucking words are more important than mine? Well, maybe to you, but not to mine. So it doesn't make me controlling.
I'm being controlled
it makes me
right
fucking
now. It disproves the whole thesis.
Nope.
Because if I were to stop
I could go la 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 la
exactly.
la
because
la
if I were to,
la la
what's my
la la. See, right now people are shutting this fucking thing off.
No,
Why?
this is like
because
this
it's
is,
getting fucking
this is real.
stupid.
This is real.
It's not real. It's stupid.
This is important to be said because
okay, you know what's real? You agreeing and feeling persuaded.
The only thing I can do
and molting at this moment. Why? Because, dude, you need to molt.
I'm being controlled in the conversation. The only thing I can do is, which I'm not leaving because, we'll go eat and have fun.
Because conflict's great.
And I'm definitely not going to say anything that I regret to you. Yeah.
I know you'd like to though.
No, but I've grown. I grow. And
that's part of how I've helped
got to get better. I don't want to apologize to you. I don't want to have you forgive me later. So what I'm saying is this is an example. Like we can be in positions where we are controlled by other people.
Negative.
They have the power over us. They have
negative.
They have the influence.
Not mentally, bro.
What's the way out? You have to run or you have to fight. And I'm not fighting you.
You're full of shit.
And I'm not leaving you. So what I would argue is the ability to respond, forgiveness.
I'd love to hear everybody's feedback on this.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 based on
just go when I drop it. Go read the comments on the YouTube channel.
I agree.
Heck
yeah.
I want everyone to chime in. Can't wait to hear freaking the Team J idiots. Did you hear what you just said? That we are controlled by other people.
100% is a factor. Yes.
Now,
especially if we work for someone.
The only way I would agree with you is if you allow someone to control you, then I would say you are controlled by that person because you're allowing it, which means if you're allowing it, well, then you're deciding to follow their direction. That is not control. Mentally, we're talking about. I ain't talking about 3 big dudes can't come in here and stuff me in a fucking suitcase. Okay? Physically controlled is different. I'm talking about mental, bro. You are a being. You are not a body. You understand that? You have a fucking mind. And if you don't think, well, what's the mind's in the body? Oh, really? Well, then how much does it weigh? How much does your mind weigh? Okay? How big is it? What is it? What's the temperature of it? Yeah, you can't cut open a dude's head and point at the mind, but yet everybody agrees we have one.
You can control the mind with these types of
Where's
thoughts.
your mind? Okay, then you just said what I said. You just said what I said.
Seriously, mind control versus body reaction is different.
I can't wait, guys. Comment and tell
we got to
Jay.
pull Brad out of the matrix. This mind control stuff, because it's not Brad. It's the whatever ideology that's been accepted.
Oh my God! Did you vote for Biden? Tell the truth.
No, but
well, I mean, you're almost like the blue-haired lefties with the earrings in their nose. You really truly believe everybody's at fault. You're not responsible for your decisions.
What do you mean everyone's at fault?
You just said other people control you.
Yeah, other people have an influence, or how I have an influence.
I didn't say just other people have influence over you. I said, who controls you?
Other people have control over how I respond because they have their own thoughts, feelings, emotions. Just right now, yes, you have control. Like
that's not control. I'm contributing.
You are doing what you want to do.
That's a contribution.
I have to tolerate it. Wait, think about this.
You don't have to.
Well, I do, because our relationship is up here. It matters.
But you don't have to. You're deciding to.
And if you were my enemy, I'd have to love you too, because that's culture, baby.
Dude, that's religion.
Well, it's a forgiveness. It's like,
religion is culture. But listen, at the end of the day,
how you're behaving isn't just you. It's how you've been raised. It's how you've been raised. It's what you've learned. It's the mentors.
Folks, also comment if you want Jay back. We'll do, like, he lives somewhere else, but like we'll do Zooms. I'll make him my new co-host if you'd like. Let's hear.
I want to tell everybody my testimony for Brad. He is one of the most. Am I looking into the right camera?
Yeah.
The most genuine, kind-hearted, loving people I know, and he's changed my life. Countless people in my life that I've been I've helped he's a part of that, and everyone.
He's confessing.
Regardless of whatever you think from this conversation.
Hey, who's making you do this?
I would say Ben's laughing outside. I gotta think about
Ben's listening and he understands. You got caught.
No, it's not. It's deeper than that.
You can't. Why am I doing this? Because knife to a gunfight. I
want to give you affirmation.
You want to be an intellect, don't you?
No, I want to give you affirmation for those that I believe didn't affirm me when I was pure-hearted.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, proceed. Folks. He says I'm a good one.
Yeah, you're a great guy.
See how fast I got that done?
You genuine, and we're going to work through this, and don't hold it against him. If you didn't, if you agree with me,
for those higher intellects
if you're on my
out there,
team,
go
love
with Jay.
him,
hey,
because he could use it. Hug him.
If you guys are of the higher intellect with Jay's team, and you feel sorry for my inability to understand and comprehend the magnitude and the depth of which he's explaining emotions and human nature, well then, proceed on over to Jay's side. But if you're like a normal person and you just like to, hear it like it is, and you don't think you're in control of your own actions, dude, you need to get like into a mirror. You need to go look in a mirror and say, dude, Number one, Jay's full of shit. We control ourselves. We do control our own actions. Okay. I'm not talking about physical, and I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about in general. Everybody listening to this right now, you control your decisions and your actions and your choices. So every day when you make these decisions, actions, and choices, you're the one controlling it. You're the one deciding it. And yes, you may be influenced by other people, but that is irrelevant. The fact that they are influencing you is irrelevant, but it is noted. Yes, influence exists in the world. Yes, persuasion and pressure and, various factors may factor in, but at the end of the day, you decided, you controlled. Why? Because you control you. I can't tell you to think of a dog and you don't want to, and you do. I can't make you think of a dog. I can't make you say a word. I can't make you think. I can't make you stop thinking. I can't make you do anything mentally. Only you control you. And anyone that doesn't think that they mentally control themselves has the fucking issue that I'm trying to solve and point out, quite frankly. Why? Because I drop bombs, buddy. Big ones. And this is a big one. This is mind-exploding shit if people are listening. Like, you want to talk about value? You want to listen to a bunch of this drivel on the fucking internet about, man, you just got to do it. You just got to get up in the morning and do it. Well, no shit. The question is how come people don't? Why don't they? Well, because they don't realize they're in control. They're blaming everything else. They're blaming other people. They're looking outside of the fucking source as a cause and a blame, a cause. They want to be the effect. They want to be affected. They don't want to be the cause. And I'm telling people, you need to wake up and become the cause. You need to worry about controlling your actions. You know if they're positive or negative. You know if they're freaking impactful or damaging. You know by intuition. We're all born with it. Okay? So now you decide what you do, what you think, who you hang with, what you allow in your head, what you listen to, what you eat, what you do, what are your habits. Are you practicing every day? Are you developing every day? Are you growing every day? Are you doing the right shit every day, all day? Because you're the one, after all, that's making choices. So what choices are you making? Not to read a book, not to freaking get into a debate, not to have conflict and grow, because growing comes from conflict. Are you choosing to avoid confrontation? See, I don't. I'll welcome it. And guess what? You talk louder, I'll talk louder. Then you want to punch me, I'll punch you back. Now, may I point out that not one time this whole conversation have I felt like punching you. Why? Well, because I am in control, bro. I control my emotions. I control me. Now, have I ever lost control? Yes. Well, who took it? Nobody took control. And I didn't lose it. I just think I did because I'm not fucking enlightened enough to realize I, the being, allowed the emotion to decide. And that is still me in control. So you control how you feel. You control how you respond. You control how you react. Point blank, period. So when someone comes up to you and does something that normally would cause you to react in a negative manner, you now have the ability to make a decision because you are now aware. You're no longer unaware of this. Unless you choose to be, which is called ignorance. Okay, so at the end of the day, you now know you're choosing how you react. You're choosing whether to go home early and play a game or whether to go home and read a book. You're choosing to freaking remember to date your wife and make her feel special and included because you forgot to do that. And now your wife's ultimately starting to resent you, and ultimately your marriage is deteriorating, which will ultimately affect your finances, which will ultimately affect your fucking mindset. Like, it's all connected. So when you trace it back to the source, who's in control? Well, I am. So if I'm in control, and that's the truth, well, then it only means that I'm doing this to myself. I'm allowing this myself. I'm tolerating all of these things. Or I'm going to blame somebody else, which is where most people are. I'm going to blame somebody else for everything externally that's controlling me because I don't believe I'm in control. I believe everything else is controlling me. My environment's controlling me. My peers are controlling me. My parents are controlling me. I believe that. And if I do, get on Jay's team because you're a dipshit. Okay. And I'm here to wake you up. Okay. You control, you fool. And if you don't think you do, go educate yourself. Okay. Do the math, do the work. Pretty soon you'll realize I am correct. Okay. You are in control of yourself. You are in control. You're the ones deciding whether you move forward or you don't move forward, or whether you knock off early or you stay late. You're the ones that are deciding whether to cheat or whether to stay faithful. You're the ones deciding whether to eat that burger or eat that frickin' avocado. Okay. At the end of the day, man, we are making our own choices throughout the day, little by little, every single day. We are moving backwards or we're moving forwards. Some of us might be maintaining, but you're either maintaining temporarily or you're not maintaining at all. So at the end of the day, if you're maintaining, for how long? You're either going to move backwards or you're going to move forwards. And again, if some people are what they call happy and they don't want anything out of life, I'll bet you ask them, who's making those decisions? Who's controlling you? You know what they're going to say? I control me. Why? Because I'm not letting anybody control me with their money. I'm not going to let anybody control me with their fame. I'm not going to let anybody sucker me into believing that, you're going to make me rich. Why? Because you can't make me rich. I can make me rich. And I have to make me rich if I'm going to be rich. Now, again, can I leverage the relationship to get rich? Absolutely. But who decides to nurture that relationship or damage that relationship? Who decides to freaking do all those things? You do. So the question isn't whether you control yourself, Jay, because I already know the answer. You control yourself. Because again, I'll give you a minute to respond here in a second.
Are you sure?
I might have to shut you down, though. Why? Because, dude, I ain't listening to drivel. Well,
I'm clearly not in control then.
No, you're in control. You've just been influenced to not say a word. If you wanted to say a word.
If you shut it down.
If you wanted to say a word, could you not?
If you interrupt me.
Could you not? You're not interrupting me. You're just annoying me.
No, but you see what I'm saying? Like that type
but you're attempting to control the conversation. But you don't get to control me, son. See what I'm saying? And I can't control you. And quite frankly, I can't control my 3-year-old daughter. Now, I can physically control her, but I can't tell her to stop crying and she stops crying. I can't tell her to freaking think blue balloons when she's thinking pink balloons. Why? Because I don't control her. Only we control our minds. And that's where it all is. That's in our minds. Yeah, so use your fucking minds.
The more we believe.
Get on Team BL. Because we're wrapping this episode up. I don't even know if we'll have any subscribers left after this.
I mean, I do want to say, it's your show. You should have the last laugh or the last.
Well, dude, I'd just stop recording and walk out if I decided it was the end.
All right.
That's because I control myself.
So
see, there's a good point, though. See, I can control when this ends because it's mine. You can't control when this ends, but you can control when you end. Or I could fucking shut it off and you could say, I'm going to continue. And I can't stop you from continuing.
Well, the context has changed because the show's over.
It doesn't matter, though. You control you, Jay, and I control me. And you're gonna arrive at this. And I'll bet you if Jordan Burnt Peterson was in the room right now, and we looked at him and we said, from a psychological perspective, from a psychologist, a clinical psychologist,
better than me. I'll give him that.
He would not destroy it.
It would be burnt.
He would be on my side,
and this is why
he would say, "Well, Bradley actually is correct because technically we are in control because nobody can go in there because it can't be touched. You cannot fucking touch and feel a mind. A mind does not exist in this fucking dimension. You cannot control a mind yet.
His thesis.
Now, again, there is mind control. Go look at freaking a lot of the 100%. Old CIA projects.
Yes, the ideology
there's brainwashing. There's mind control attempts.
Yeah,
but you know how incredibly hard it is to control someone's mind? And I told you in the beginning that was the fucking exception. We're not talking about mind control. We're talking about fucking everyday shit, bro. People are waking up. They're not working out. They're not following the habits of success. They're not kicking ass. They're not seeking knowledge to grow their business. They're not building and nurturing their relationships. They're not networking, and they're not freaking realizing that they are the ones choosing not to do all those things, when the winners and the people winning, they are. And that's all they're doing. They're not magical people. They just realize that they're in control and they're responsible. So they got to get shit done. Meanwhile, these other people, they're blaming everybody else and what they're doing as to why they can't do what they need to do. They're literally giving their control over to other people. And that would be the only way I would acquiesce to your point that someone else is in control. Only if you gave it to them, which would mean the only reason they're in control of you is because you gave them control of you, which means you controlled it. So at the end of the day, you got control, son. That's all I got to say. Click. Now, see, I could have just shut her down.
You really do want to know what I have to say because you're.
No, I'll let you talk, but you're just talking yourself into a deeper hole. You might be earning yourself another visit. And by the way, in the comments, guys, I want you to tell me, never put this clown on again, or Jay's got a point.
Yeah.
Or Brad is correct, or Team J, Team BL.
I like that, Team BL.
Okay, do whatever you want to do in the comments, but make it real clear. Number one, does the Bomb Squad ever want to hear this kind of freaking yik-yak diatribe? Because again, I can have people back and we can just debate.
Yeah,
and some wouldn't debate. Someone would allow me to control and dominate the conversation. But not Jay. He will not be trapped, which means, oh, clever, you're in control. No, I'm not. If I say that I am, then you have me in some sort of bind.
The more we all believe we are in control, the more separate we become from each other. Because to listen, we need to.
You are reading notes.
We need to give up control. Well, yeah, I was taking notes.
Which means you were writing notes as I was talking, so you weren't really listening. You were writing notes. You cannot listen and write at the same time.
And I would even argue that by taking notes on what you're saying.
See, folks, there's another lesson that just
it's a humble act.
There's another lesson squeaked out in life. If you guys really want to get far in life, guys, trust me when I tell you, listening is a crucial skill set that most people fail to utilize, and it's free.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Brad because for about 6 months, he really pushed me to get this. Oh, is it over?
Hey, and it's free.
I just got loud. This is the remarkable that, I didn't listen to Brad for about 6 months. This is a couple of years ago. And he's like, you got to get remarkable. You're always writing notes
because he will not be controlled.
You are always getting, and, you write so much. I had the closet in our house is full. My office is full of notepads. So I finally, listened to Brad, and man, it's been a remarkable experience.
Literally, completely
impacted my life, our business.
And doesn't it upset you a little bit that you were in control the whole time and just chose not to get one?
So when you said earlier, because I wrote it, you said, have I ever lost control? And then you said yes. So where I'm speaking is to that. Whatever occurs that's at the limits of our ability to respond to conflict, the conflicts that come with life, the conflict interpersonally and
it's the lack of awareness that you have the choice.
Well, so
like, for example, if someone just walked in here and insulted me, I've got the choice to be offended and punch him in the face and get in a fight or fucking ruin a relationship or cause an issue for myself. Or I have the choice to say, dude, that is the funniest shit I've ever heard. Now, by the way, dude, I totally believe that myself. Like, in other words, I could literally take an insult 2 different ways. Who gets to decide? I do. So I had the right to get pissed, and I had the right to be cool. And guess what? Depending on the situation may change the decision I make. I may choose to get pissed, meaning wrong situation. You need to be taught a lesson. We're in a freaking environment where, dude, you're not getting away with this, because it would be literally derelict of my duty to teach masculinity in the world by letting you get away with not getting punched because of your egregious action, which again, I don't walk around looking to punch people. Okay. I listen, I go around and I think to myself very simply, okay, I control my own actions. I control my mind. And because I know that, I'm able to understand that I determine whether I'm in a bad mood. I determine whether I'm having a bad day. You can't determine whether I have a bad day. You can try to make my day bad. You can have a negative impact in my life, but how I respond is up to me, which means you can't control it. You can't fuck it up. But yet all these people are out blaming others for fucking up their life. Well, you're allowing them to fuck it up. And then they'll say, like, there'll be a million people going, what are you talking about? I didn't allow that person to do this to me and that to me. I didn't allow my wife to take half my shit and run off with my kids. I didn't allow this.
True.
Yes, you did.
No, that's fault thinking that puts people into shame.
No, it's the truth, Jay.
And that shame cycle is inescapable. It creates anxiety and repression.
Now you're being a psychiatrist.
Well, so I've studied the literature deeply.
I know, but go counsel the people that are damaged, Jay. Because again, I'm not talking to them.
Well, we all.
I'm talking to normal fucking people. Normal people, okay, will be able to say.
We don't want to confuse control and responsibility, because the underlying assumption with control is that it's my fault, and that leads to anxiety, leads to repression,
dude. Which leads to under your control,
solipsistic thinking.
Listen, see how you just traded the word control for fault. Like, well, who said it's your fault?
What's unsaid.
Dude, it might be my fault. It might be my fault.
Like if I get hit by a car, right, I'm walking down the street, walking across the street.
That is not your fault.
Based on your thesis, I'm in control though. So,
you are in control, but you're not in control of the car. You're not in control of external. You're in control of internal.
Yeah, so I could lie to myself. Self-deception.
It's not lying to yourself. You control how you react to being hit by a car. Just like you control how you react to being paralyzed. Just like you control how to react to be cheated on. Just like you control how you react to have a business partner screw you. Just like you'd be able to react if someone punched you in the face or harmed your wife in front of you. Like, dude, you control how you react. You don't get to control the world, and that's not what I said. We control how we react, certainly. And we also control our actions. And if we can control our actions, realizing that they have reactions, well, then use your fucking better judgment and only try to do good actions and stay away from fucking negative influences that are constantly having bad things happen. Why? Because
but who gets to decide what's negative? Only me, which is the most irresponsible thing ever. It's so fucking entitled. It's it's ridiculous.
See, this is where you go left.
And it will destroy someone's life. That's so entitled.
You don't get to decide what you think is annoying and not annoying.
The world does not revolve around me. I am a part of the world, and I'm projecting my potential actions and interactions in the world. But my actions,
interactions, called consideration, Jay.
My actions, interactions have a relationship with my past.
But that's a consideration.
And by the way,
not?
This is why kids have to learn how to share. This is why the kids that don't learn how to share when they're little kids, they become all effed up and they can't socialize. So it's because, like when you say I am in control of all these things,
were you taught to share?
We're all the people that are listening. You're taking for granted everywhere you've come from, everything you've experienced, and the influence that creates, like the mental bank account of how you're likely going to respond probabilistically in different contexts. And it's all I'm saying is that ideology, the irony of that controlling mindset is it actually becomes an ideology that controls the individual to be unable to respond to conflicts. And so it ultimately can destroy someone's life completely. It'll lead to repression, it'll lead to anxiety, it'll lead to shame, like a shame cycle. And no, I'm not in control, but I have the ability to respond. I have the ability to respond on a spectrum relative to what I faced in my past.
That's in control.
This theory that you're purporting,
dude, you just said you're in control.
I have the ability to respond to interpersonal conflicts and conflict.
That's control on how you respond.
Well, that's where we could explore part two. I don't. It could take like.
Well, let's do part two after I see all the comments, or if it's even worth the debate.
Fair enough. You're always welcome, though, on the Culture Matters podcast.
Like I said, dude, the debate is very simple. Are we in control? Do we control ourselves? Do we control? I'm talking about mentally.
If you'd like to see Brad on the Culture Matters podcast, comment below. And then I'd love to interview him on. And then I'm going
to need 50,000 people to send me $1.
Yeah, if you'd like to Yeah.
Yeah, 50,000. If 50,000 people send me $1, I'll get on Jay's podcast.
Hey, it's the top 1%. You know, it's growing. I mean, I've done 549 interviews as of this recording, long form interviews. Did 268 in the last 6 months of 2023, and I'd be honored to have you back on the show. I believe you're episode 49.
Hey, and by the way, Jay Doran is now back out on the market. He was a recluse for a moment. Yeah. He had to read, he had to bathe, he had to ponder, he had to pontificate. He had to think. He did not want to be exposed. He wanted to go be certain that he knew what he thinks he knows, only to emerge on dropping bombs and get put right back.
Yeah, this is
in
my
the
first
fucking
real
I don't know category.
This has been one of the most enjoyable things I've done in a long time.
Well,
thank you.
Do you control what you think?
I think that based on the feedback of this, comment section, I'll have an opportunity to face whatever
reality.
Whatever,
and it wouldn't be reality. You know what it'd be? It would be an opinion.
If I felt like I controlled everything, I might not listen to anybody's comments. But you got to tell me, where am I wrong? That's kind of, I'm more interested in the consequences.
You can't control someone's comment,
ideology, but I can learn from it.
You can learn from it, but you.
But if I think I'm in control of everything, why would I listen to anybody?
Well, that's why. Because you're the one in control, so you're responsible.
Yeah,
so
but
if
I
you
get to decide what's negative or positive. That's
exactly.
BS. That's BS because I live in a community. I live with other people. That's BS. That is so far-fetched. That is such a made-up thing. And that only works if I'm entitled.
Maybe this is why I make money and people that make money think. Maybe we got to do a study.
I think we should. And please, I would love, well, no, wait, this is me trying to control you, and you have to control yourself. No, you're making a
suggestion.
I want you to have the end.
He's got it weird.
I don't want to control you,
He thinks
Brad.
making a suggestion is controlling. I'm the one that decides, bitch. Don't
decide.
You know?
It's interesting.
Dude, come on. I got a steak waiting for me.
All right,
Spit it out.
let's go eat dinner.
Spit it out.
No.
See, I control whether you move or not.
I feel good about this
nope,
conversation.
You have to sit here until I get back. Okay. Now, if I come back and you're still sitting here, Jay, I will totally believe that you think other people control you. But if I come back tomorrow morning and you haven't moved and I have cameras to see,
it's so much
I will
more
believe
nuanced.
You that you actually believe that you're not that other people control you.
And I would even argue the deeper the relationship, the less
you're
control
trying to argue something you're not doing very well arguing. You're trying to argue other things.
A relationship is a give and take. It's a compromise.
Yeah,
so
you
the
can't
control
argue
is
very well. We're going to send you back to fucking debate school, folks. Until next time, keep it real.